everyone, my name is Nikki, and I will be talking with you today about our ever-increasing dependence upon technology. This is my audience this evening. Alright, let's just...
You didn't tell me it was going to be on camera. That would have left the room.
So, when technology breaks down, people's lives go haywire too. NS, 2015. The field of technology is increasing ever so, and at an exponential rate. One of the fastest, to be perfectly honest, in all fields. All of us utilize some form of technology, whether it be a cell phone, a computer, and it's almost impossible to escape our dependence upon it. Personally, I work in a medically oriented call center, and we utilize a digital database system, and when that goes wrong and doesn't work, everything goes haywire. We can't talk with clients, we can't assist elderly at all in any way, shape, and or form. The purpose of the speech is to examine the negative influences that technology has upon our daily society and how our dependence on it is so negative that we've got consequences that will arise due to it. We're also very aware that we're too dependent upon technology, and it's a little scary. And if the use of technology does continue unchecked, there is a potential for a multitude of different issues to arise, like increased security risk, decreased social skills, and anxiety, to be perfectly honest. Technology can be ridiculously useful in all aspects, and has led to a lot of innovation now and today. However, a multitude of different technologies are heavily intertwined into our daily lives, and potentially too much. Technology already is controlling critical systems like traffic lights, lines of communication, military weapons, lots of examples. Around 56% of Americans own a smartphone, according to the Pew Research Center, and we're using them pretty much everywhere. In the shower at 12%, at the movies, which is 35%, and while we're driving, which is about 55%. Our increased dependence upon technology could lead to a future where people have no idea how to do anything for themselves, pretty much dependent always. Unfortunately, technology can fail, and Lillian Avalon, a technology researcher from the Rand Corp, speaks about technology's relentless march demanding better security measures to prevent hackers from breaking into systems and more rigid programming so that it reduces chances of crippling outages worldwide. She also makes a point to mention that we too often see that technology's industry focus is on making something really cool instead of factoring in all of the security risks that we are taking, essentially. This opens up to identity theft. So we've talked pretty much about how technology fails. Now let's move on to how it impacts our daily lives negatively. It can lead to decreased interpersonal skills, and conversations between you and I are heavily utilized in our day-to-day. It's a pretty vital skill that everyone needs, and unfortunately we are avoiding face-to-face confrontation between individuals and ourselves because we are utilizing technology too much. There is a phenomenon called phone separation anxiety, and it has been called fear of being without your phone, nomophobia, and has been described as the rush of anxiety and fear when you realize you are disconnected and out of the loop with friends, family, work, and the world. That's from an article by Hessing. This study found that women, more often than not, were more prone to separation anxiety from their phones. 70% were women, 61% were men. We've talked about the negative impact of technology on our lives. Now let's look at the cultural awareness factor, especially in books, television shows, and movies. Many post-apocalyptic dystopian futures in books and movies and shows are created by an overdependence upon technology. We have some sort of awareness that our dependence on technology is not an entirely healthy thing, but that's why we have so many books conveying all of these warnings about dystopian futures controlled or caused by excessive technology dependence. Fahrenheit 451 is an example. It was written in 1953 and consists of a dismal future where everything is controlled by technology and by the government. A direct quote. When the lights switched back to the land and helicopters swerved over the city again, as if they had picked up another trail, they were gone. The hound was gone. Now there was only the cold river and Montag floating in a sudden peacefulness, away from the city and the lights and the chase, away from everything. And that's on page 226. Individuals are kept completely complacent with the viewing of television instead of reality in nature. Another great culturally relevant example is the movie The Matrix. It's a box office hit. It grossed about $256 million in revenue. And it's about a dark future where human beings were enslaved for energy by robots and AI technology. A direct quote from the main antagonist of this movie is, "What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain." Orpheus is a protagonist. He is trying to teach Neo about how reality and his worldview is completely false and controlled by technology entirely. So we've talked about how cultural views are intertwined with technology. Now let's wrap up everything. We touched on how extensive our dependence is and how this leaves us vulnerable to technology flaws and hackers. Also, our decreased ability to have interpersonal skills with other people, and increased anxiety. This has also intertwined itself into our cultural views and things that we have in our daily society. And many individuals who were surveyed admitted to suffering from extreme anxiety from dependence upon technology when separated from a device or a smartphone. As people become more and more technologically connected, some concerns are that we are losing important aspects of our human experience, becoming too impatient, too impulsive, and even narcissistic. So, all in all, how are you going to set yourself apart? And how are you not going to become part of the statistic? And that's my audience.